Welcome to the Economy and Politics Show. I'm Ottoabasi Abasiekong. This edition will discuss the implications of a market-based electricity tariff structure for the Nigerian economy. For all of us that have been following the developments from last week, where it was announced that there's an electricity tariff hike, we'll be discussing that today and how it's going to shape the economy. And my guest is Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, an Energy Analyst, joining me virtually for this conversation. Nice to have you on the program, Mr. Mukhtar, and long time.
Yes, thank you. My pleasure. Having me at these times that we are all shouting.
But you all smile. So, I mean, that shows resilience amidst the challenging times.
We don't have enough.
Let's begin with the yes. Let's begin with the debate over the adoption of a market-based electricity tariff structure in Nigeria. So, from your perspective, do you feel that, or do you see that we're ready for a fully liberalized market at this time of the prevailing economic challenges, high inflation, slow growth, and even high interest rate environment?
Well, I don't think we are ready. I don't know what do you mean by market-based. I don't think it's market-based because what we have seen now is category-based metering system. It depends on your class, or we'll call it class metering system. Because you are saying those that enjoy 20 hours of light are being charged differently. So what will happen when you have that? If I'm a businessman, who do you think I'll give power more to? The one that is paying high. So I'd rather give them more power so that I can make more money, and then the other people will suffer. And again, it's just 15%. So what we are seeing is that 15% of Nigeria will have power, while the other 85% will be struggling with power. I don't think it's market-based. I just think it's a class-based market. Now, it depends on your class. You know, when you want to take a flight, there's economy, there's premium economy, there's first class, and there's business class. So what we are saying here now, we brought that into our power sector, electricity tariff sector. Nowhere in the world have I seen what is happening in Nigeria. So that's why they say Nigeria, we always have something different from the world, but I've never seen a type of billing system that we are having. I've never heard it from any country. I stand to be corrected.
Wow, very, very, very critical at this time. But Mr. Mukhtar, like you rightly said, it's more for you a class-based tariff system. The Vice Chairman of the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, Dr. Musili Oseni, of course, last week announced 300% electricity tariff hike. Like you rightly said, the Band A customers, they constitute 15% of the population. That moved from about 65 naira per kilowatts to over 250 per kilowatts per hour. And like you rightly said, 20 hours power supply, the electricity distribution companies are under obligations to provide that power. Now, of course, who are these Band A customers and how does this shape the pricing processes? Are you also in that Band A, Mr. Mukhtar?
Well, I think where I stay, from what I gather, we are among the Band A. I've seen the what they got from Ikeja Electricity, and I saw that we are among the Band A. But you need to ask whether I enjoy 20 hours of electricity. I think before now there came a point that we enjoyed. I won't lie, we have that. We enjoyed so much of electricity. But for a very long time now, especially at the inception of this administration, from November to date, I don't think we've enjoyed electricity like we used to enjoy before now. So now, when you talk about that, when they said Band A and 20 hours, and I asked myself, what happened within the 4 hours that there will be no power? Am I supposed to put on my generator and buy fuel? Is that not increasing my energy cost? You have already increased power now. I have to still power my generator, or power my generator with fuel, or power my generator with diesel, which is not cheap. Even the fuel also is not cheap. So what we are saying here is we are beginning to put more burden on the already burdened Nigeria. Because again, when you look at the Band A customers and what they are not looking at, they're looking at the area that have 20. But they're not even looking at smaller businesses that stays in this area also. Smaller people that are civil servants that were able to afford a BQ or a one-room bedroom. So, and their salaries and earnings have not improved. So here we are now again taxing them the most. So I think They got it all wrong because I don't know what parameter would I use. What should I take my Bible now and begin to count the hours that I'll have light and the hours I don't have light? What is shocking is because before now, the government said they are not going to increase tariff on electricity because until the discos are able to meter everybody. So now, what has changed? They have not metered anybody. So today I was reading the news that Eco Electricity is saying that in the next 5 years, they will meter 600,000 people in the next 5 years. And before now, there was a law that said if a house is not metered, they are not supposed to pay more than a certain amount. That was to force these companies to make sure that every house is metered. So a house that is under band A and is not metered, you can imagine the kind of bills that will be going to those homes. That is one. Two, remember the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission recently said that estimated a lot of Nigerians were overestimated, those without meters. We've not had anything from them to know whether they've been credited back what they have, or is it going to go to National Electricity Commission? So there's no template. So when you talk about band A, I wonder what parameter were used to do band A, because where I live is a residential area. So do you put more emphasis on residential, or you put more emphasis on industrial? When you don't have power, there are ways that you should do it. If we know that at a particular time to a particular time, those in the residence will not be around. They will be in their offices. Why don't we give them more power to those areas? So there's a lot of template that we have not really used, but rather we are just looking at how to reduce subsidy. That's exactly what they are trying to do. They are just looking for other ways of doing it rather than just say subsidy is gone.
Yes, we'll come to that conversation about subsidy, but there will be no increase for the band B to E customers, and they form the 85% of the population, while Nigerians need a stable power supply in the country. How can this be balanced in the pricing structure to match productivity? Because even when you raise prices, the big question is, does it translate to the productivity? So what would be your advice at this time? Because yes, relief for band B to E customers who, of course, cut across the 85% base of the population. What is required at this time?
I think those customers are the ones that will suffer. Very soon they will have practically who will not have light, who will have power. Like I said, the template is there to make sure that those don't have power. At a point, they will also be saying, look, if someone want to move to band A, if we can assure power, we are ready to pay. It's just a gimmicks, as far as I'm concerned. It's just a gimmicks. When you are looking at those kilometers, you are just providing 15% of Nigeria 20 hours electricity. Remember that some of the states might not even fall under any of these bans. I can assure you. Some of the states might not fall into any of these bans. Some states may never even have power. So what we are looking at band A, most of the people you are seeing in band A are mostly residents from maybe Lagos, Abuja, or Port Harcourt. They are the most ones that you see in band A. I can assure you. So the rural areas will definitely be in darkness. So I don't know how, what kind of thing I would have advocated a friendly based tariff system whereby everybody will be equal. Not the type of tariff system that we have that is a class one now.
Yeah, I mean you've really emphasized this problem, this challenge of a class-based tariff system, and I believe that the regulator NERC is listening to this. But with the cut in electricity subsidy like you've envisaged, and of course that's what we're seeing, about 1.14 trillion naira according to NERC subsidy. What are the prospects for further investments in the power sector value chain that will unlock economic opportunities? Because of course the discos, the distribution companies need to come on board, need to invest more, upgrade and meet up. You've talked about metering. Metering is still required more. and a co-distribution company cannot be talking about 600,000 customers in the next 5 years, because the eco-axis alone is over 3-4 million, 5 million population.
Well, when you look at the subsidy that they are saying about, will it unlock investment? The removal of subsidy in the petroleum sector, have we seen any new investment? There must be an example for you to leash on. There have not been any new investment. As we stand today, we're made to understand that we have started paying subsidy again. Because if you look at the price at when it was removed and the price that it is today, we should be buying PMS above what we are buying. So that means government is somehow subsidizing it. Now, when you say that you want investors, you ask yourself, first of all, what have they done with the previous investments or the previous resources? If you want to go by what the MBS said, that most of the discos have now under productivity, and they improve by 12.8%. But as Nigerian power improved by 12.8%. So what we see here is you come up with a team, say, oh, by the time I unlock it, we have more investors, we have more people coming in, we have this, we have that. At the end of the day, because those you are calling investors knows that the challenge is still there. So do you now give an investor to say, okay, you go and manage this state? If it's not lucrative, he will not take it. So all investors will be looking for band A. So how is it going to unlock investment? It's only if you have made it a meter-based, a friendly-based tariff, then you would have seen that a lot of companies will want to come in, and they will now be going to the rural areas who they know that they are going to pay, or the BAM B and the BAM Cs and the BAM Ds. They will go in there and open up investment there to catch those people, because they are just about 85%. So the companies will be looking at their turnover in the long run above profit.
Yeah.
So now how can this unlock investment? Ordinarily, it will unlock investment if you are saying, okay, band A. Now, an investor will now come and say, look, I will invest in band B and band C. And also, will their tariff be raised to what happened in band A if I improve power in band B and band C? And that, again, is another challenge for those in band B and band C. So
that's a huge challenge.
It's a strategy, but it must be market-friendly strategy, especially for a sector that you are looking for investors, like the power sector. I don't think the government have gotten it. They've gotten it again wrong. The same thing that happened to the liberalization of the currency, floating of the naira, we are seeing it play out in the power sector again. We've seen that also play out in the regulation of the petroleum sector. We have not seen any new investments. The only investment we are seeing is that Dangote refinery, which has been there before they remove subsidy, is going to be on stream. NNPC said Port Harcourt refinery will start in April. Remember, before it was December. From December now is April. So maybe from April we might get to October. So are we seeing any new investors? Rather, if you look at it, a lot of the investors are even leaving. And Nigerian companies are the one buying their assets now. So the only investors that we are attracting in Nigeria as it stands now are portfolio investors, because we are giving them high yield in bonds. We are not attracting investors to want to invest in the power sector. Even if let's wait and see if this policy will now drive more investors. Government is still in charge of generation. What are they still doing in generation? The discos are not ready to put in funds. Even the fund that they've had, they've not replaced meters. They've not replaced, they've not got new meters, like you said. They've not been metering people, and that is one. Number two, the generation said we are able to generate 7,000 but the discos can only collect less than 5,000 because they've not been investment in infrastructure by the discos, and yet you are now increasing tariff for those same people that have not invested anything.
So Mr. Mukhtar, let me come in here now. What are the opportunities for gas, solar, and renewable energy as alternative sources of energy in the country? You've said the rural areas. We know we have the Rural Electrification Agency, and we need to begin to look at this alternative energy across regions. You're from the south, gas can do a lot. The renewable energy can do a lot in the north and several other parts of the country. Is there a way now we can begin to look at strengthening the energy mix from a pricing perspective that's inclusive? Because, like you rightly said, this current structure is not tariff friendly in terms of the way it's going, and needs to be friendly in terms of its tariff structure to attract investments.
Well, again, you say what has brought us? Why are the discos shouting that they want to increase tariff? They said it was government that increased gas tariff by 11%. So that's why they had to raise their own tariff, and they even raised it above what government have increased in 11%. Remember, I'm talking. That's what they were saying, and also they made a comment that a lot of people are now wanting more gas. So there are a lot of customers the gas company want to supply. So if they are not paying the right fee, they will not supply it to them. So in the area that there's gas in the Niger Delta, whether it will help boost electricity supply, I think it has been there since that, not boost electricity supply. Rather, it has a lot of illegality is being perpetrated there, oil bunkering, oil thief, and everything. So I don't see gas. It should have been a solution if we have the master plan. We have the gas master plan before now, but up to today, that master plan is still lying in the cooler. Maybe they will bring it out now. In the area of solar, I think what the government need to do a lot in that aspect to regulate, so that we don't get junk being brought into our country, especially in now that we are trying to get clean energy. So I think that is a good place to go, but it must be highly regulated so that we don't have bringing in panels that could be the detriment to our health in the long run. So I totally agree. A lot of Nigerians have even turned to solar. Some of them, that's what they use now for a lot of things, trying to get off the grid, because before now even. So I saw a lot of Nigerians will be switching off their electricity during the day. Maybe they only use it during the night when so they will use the solar during the day. That might be what will happen. But I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing to go if we can come up with a blueprint and let it be private sector driven. But again, the regulators must be on top of their game. And I don't think we should give it to National Electric Regulatory Commission. We should be looking for other regulators to regulate that space.
Okay, that's very clear. Even with the Electricity Act, I think states and federal government can look at regulations in a way that encourages activities in alternative energy space, like you said. But as we wrap up, what are the implications of this for households, SMEs, manufacturing sector, the businesses, the economy at large? In just
manufacturing sector, there will be job loss, because when you my overhead costs high, what I'll begin to look at is how to reduce my operational costs. So the unskilled, mostly the unskilled, will be the one out of job. And Nigerian population will have about 60% as unskilled. So we'll have high employment if nothing is done, especially in the manufacturing sector. Households, definitely there will be a reduction in terms of how they want to use their electricity. Like I said, some of them will begin to look for alternative source of energy, because that might also affect the discos, because that means their profit margin will come down, whereby a lot of people are now using alternative source. So what you are trying to address in terms of giving them financial muscles to invest, they might also lose it, because a lot of people might begin to look at alternative source of energy. For the workforce, of course, you know that their earnings have not gone up, even those in the private sector. So definitely it's going to be a very challenging times. Before now, the last tariff hike caused a spike in inflation. Inflation is already at about 31%. So we should expect inflation to go up, because even the CBN governor, I think as the last monetary committee meeting, was not thinking that there will be an electricity hike that will now fuel more inflationary pressure. So inflation will be high. So once inflation goes up, cost of production goes up, any capability of Nigerians are down. So we might see a lot of companies shutting down. Maybe they will not be able to be in business again because they will not make profit. So it's a snowball effect that will affect every Nigeria in the long run.
Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, Energy Analyst, thank you very much for this conversation. And I must say that we must go back to the drawing board to look at this current step taken to ensure that it is inclusive for the country. Because any policy, any tariff plan, any structure that's not inclusive becomes a challenge. It should be an enabler to development, not a constraint. Well, thank you very much for your thoughts and, of course, your insights today. And we look forward to further conversations, because this is just the beginning of this conversation. And, of course, the country, everybody's talking about it. Thank you very much once again, Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. To our viewers, if you want to get further insights on this conversation, visit the ProShare website displayed on the screen and follow our social media platforms to engage further on the show. Till you come your way again, enrich yourself with the knowledge of socio-economic developments around you, because it is a wise thing to do. I'm Ottoabasi Abasiekong. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.